So we learned humility from the Rock and Roll Express. As a matter of fact, I remember Robert Gibson saying to us before the match, he said, do you have a full-time job? I said, yes. He goes, well, you better keep it. And I didn't know whether or not he was insulting me or telling me that there's no money to be made in this business. Probably both.
Right, a worker's education.
Right, exactly. But I was just like, oh, what's he really trying to tell me here? And that was a humble lesson too. But I became, I don't want to say good friends with Robert Gibson, but through the years when there would be shows around here, I'd pick him up at the airport and we'd always have a good time with each other. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I certainly think over the years, though, your sense of timing and your tag team ability was really the epitome of any tag team that came through on the independent scene. Even the most simple things that you did, I've seen teams try to emulate and not do correctly. The little spot you did whenever you crawl underneath Dave's legs and the opponent would kick you in the head and then your head would jerk up and hit Dave in the groin. In the groin.
Classic Rock and Roll Express spot. That's
right.
Where we got that from.
I mean, and I've seen teams try to do that and just never seem to come off very cohesive or very well. And I thought you guys had that timing down so well. Probably about the time you were working with the $1 Billion Babies when you had those really, really good matches with them.
Our matches with the $1 Billion Babies, they could have went a lot further than what they did. The $1 Billion Babies, if we had more matches booked with them up and down the East Coast, we could have had some seriously great matches with them and could have actually went somewhere with them.
There's a lot at risk in this match, but more importantly, these guys are coming in to win the AWF Championship Tag Team belt, which is going to be worth something to them in their pocket, and that's what it's all about, Buzz. $1 Billion Babies might have too much money; they may not need it.
Well, I'm sure they're keeping their hairdressers in business. Diamond Dave Casanova. You can tell he's a Diamond Dave. He's got that diamond on his boots. I like that. Maybe I'll get a pair of them.
Nice tag was made there.
Rip Sawyer in the ring. Ooh. Can't decide what he wants to do. Nice drop kick into a scoop slam. Big body slams. And the Cream Team starts off quick. Rip Sawyer looks like he's having a good time in there. Rip Sawyer's going to stay in. I tell you, Joel, I'm a little confused here. These $1 Billion Babies look so much alike, I'm not sure which one's which.
Well, one's got pants and the other doesn't, except I'm not sure which one has which on.
Well,
See,
we'll
at least
just call them the $1 billion babies. Baby 1, baby 2.
I thought we called them the crybabies.
Cry babies. Backs him into the wrong side of town. Tag made. Nice reversal. Oh, shoulder block. Hit his own man.
Now we can call them the crybabies.
The Kareem team, as I said earlier, starting off real quick. They have the early momentum in this match. The big prizes at stake here. $1 billion babies better fall back and regroup a little bit. Oh, a nice little hug there. Isn't that sweet?
Well, I'm convinced that the word babies belongs in their tag team name.
Well, I think they better stop playing games and start thinking about those belts. If they want to wear them, they're going to have to beat these two.
These guys probably sleep like babies every night. Probably wet their bed.
Oh, as the crowd takes up the chant started by Rip, rest in peace, Sawyer.
It's a gay old time in York tonight.
Yes, it is. Just think, Joel, this isn't even the main event here tonight. The big match is still to come. Bam Bam Bigelow and the Bounty Hunter with the big Don Morocco as the guest referee. They're getting warmed up for that one.
Okay, the AWF is buzzing about this card here tonight in York, Pennsylvania at the Hannah Middle School. And again, the crowd's getting into this match and letting the wrestlers know what they think.
Into the ropes goes Sawyer. He held on to the ropes. Nice move there by Rip Sawyer. Oh, I think he just told the $1 billion baby he was number 1. At least in his book.
Uh-huh.
Little inside information there at PEO. Pee-wee looks a little baffled.
Well, the $1 billion babies haven't shown me anything yet.
Collar and elbow tie up into the ropes goes the baby. Nice leapfrog. Rip Sawyer another leapfrog. Oh, he thinks he got him. Oh, and he spanks him. Oh, my.
Before that match, I saw a fan come out of the crowd and give you a kiss. And I was just like so impressed with like how over and how popular we were. Did you feel more comfortable as faces or heels at that time?
Gosh, we were so full of ourselves. I don't think we cared how we were received as long as we were received. You know, whether it was popular or hated. But we were comfortable with either direction. You know, to have them cheer for you was certainly a rush. As a matter of fact, we wrestled the $1 billion babies at a show deep in North Carolina, and the place was packed. I think it was one of the biggest houses we've ever wrestled, and it was a heel versus heel match. And so they had, for some reason, they had the $1 billion babies go out the face door. I don't know why they did, but that's how the door that they had them at, and they had us go out the heel door. The $1 billion babies go out first, and they get booed. So we're expecting to be booed, because at that point we were being booed a lot. When the door popped open and we came out, everybody just jumped up and cheered for us like we were the Greek gods reincarnated or something.
Now, Rip, you've mentioned Dick Karakoff's lifelong promoter. He's been doing the promoting thing for probably 30 years. Most of what he's done has been in Western Maryland through the NWL, the National Wrestling League. Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. Once in a while, I think maybe he's eked into Virginia, but that's primarily been his home base. I know you worked for him a number of times. One of the things that we'd like to talk about is Dick did a bunch of overseas tours in 90, 91. Guam, Marshall Islands, Saipan, Pohnpei, those places. I don't believe that the Cream Team was part of those tours, but I know that you were functioning at that time. You want to talk a little bit about that era and what was going on with you guys with Dick?
Dick Karakoff, God bless him. I don't know how he ever put up with me at times. I would say that for whatever reasons he disliked me at the time were probably legitimate reasons, but for some reason he still used me on shows. I don't know why. He probably should have said hit the road. But yes, he did. His first overseas tour that I can recall might have been Guam, and everybody in that area was just clamoring to get to do the Guam shows. I just remember everybody's just wanting to get on. I never made an attempt to call Dick to ask to put me on it because I just knew that he didn't like me back then, and rightfully so. When I look back at who I was back then in terms of my attitude, I felt his reasons were justifiable. But I do recall on one of on the David Lehigh show, someone didn't know that I was around the corner and said, "Dave, are you going to the Guam show?" He goes, "Well, I'm trying, but I don't know if I'm going to or not." And I think that put a crack in the terms of being devoted to the team.
The cohesiveness.
Yeah, the cohesiveness that we had. It didn't set right with me. I never brought it up with Dave, but it did tell me, is he totally dedicated to the team? Because I wouldn't have taken on anything outside the team. Because the part was to propel the team to the top, and that means no outside interference, with anything. But I do know that he tried. I don't know how hard he tried, but I did hear him say that he was going to go on there, and that did put a little splinter of doubt as to how far we could actually go as a team.
But you guys still managed to stay together for a few more years.
But we did manage. There's just it's like a marriage. It's just you hear things, you say things, you gotta put up with it and let it go and just move on with it.
It's give and take.
To me, some things just weren't important to bring up.
Okay, that's a fair assessment.
Speaking about traveling outside the Mid-Atlantic area, did you ever try to get into one of the territories like Memphis?
We tried with I think they were called GWF in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
We sent
Dallas,
we sent the promotional tape to them, and Bill Eady was the talent coordinator at the time, and sent us a rejection letter at the time. But it was funny because Dave and I, when we actually tried to make attempts at larger independent promotions or some of the minor promotions under that fall a notch below the WWF at that time, we didn't make a whole lot of effort because we always felt that we just weren't that ready, to make that step.
Okay.
To some of these promotions. We felt that maybe Global Wrestling Federation would have been better because it was down in Texas and not so close to home or anything like that. So we tried making an attempt down there.
Different attempt. Okay.
I think you would have fit in great back in the territory days in Memphis.
Well, the style that they had was absolutely that storytelling. It was based in storytelling. That's what I learned the most from you guys. Storytelling.
And especially the way you worked in the type of shape that you were in. A lot of times down in Memphis, people would have to work 2 or 3 times a night. And I just think you would have just fit in there just perfectly with your athleticism and the way that you wrestled as a team.
I don't disagree with that, but we just weren't ready to submit anything at that time to them.
You guys start moving. Some of you've worked a ton of folks all over the place. If you had to put your finger on one match to tell the fans that are watching today to watch the Cream Team, not just Rip Sawyer, because I know you did a solo career for a while. What one match would you tell the fans to watch if you had it in an archive so that they could get the gist of who you were?
I would suppose if we could find something out there with the Fantastics in there, because we wrestled them on a number of occasions thanks to David Lehigh and his faith in us, that we had what I can recall, some really great matches with them, the more that we had with them. I just don't know if there's any footage out there that exists. But those are the only things I can think of where we actually had some great matches that were with the Fantastics, where the sense of timing, the storytelling, and
all the elements come together. Because Bobby Fulton was an excellent ring general in there. Excellent. All you had to do was just shut up and listen. And Bobby Fulton really propelled us to the next level in a lot of things. Now you guys really caught a very good win, and I'm using that term, a really good windfall in your career with 2 promotions. UIW, you got local television exposure, and they pushed you, as you should have been, in the top spot for the tag team eventually. The second one was Win, so UIW and Win, and Ed Zahn was at the helm behind each of those. Talk a little bit about your time in UIW and a little bit about your time in Win and what it meant to you under Ed.
My memory's a little foggy on the UIW days. I remember more about the Win days. They also had, I think Ed had an assistant by the name of Julie Blanton, I believe.
Yep.
She was excellent. She was a very hard worker who really wanted Win to succeed. I just remember Julie really busting her butt to make Win a success. Ed Zahn, God bless him. I don't know how he ever put up with me. He had to deal with my ego at times. I'm going to say this about Ed. He was also the commentator and the interviewer for the Win programs. I thought he had the most bland personality with the microphone, and I mean that in a good way, because he knew how to talk a match, he knew how to know what to say, but his personality was very bland. And I think Ed knew his place in the business, because he had such a bland personality, it never overshadowed the wrestler, the talent itself. And he would just stand there and hold the mic, and he would talk in his I wouldn't say low, but it was a very monotone voice is the right word. And he never had an overtop personality. And I would sit back and I would think that even though he had his differences with me, and rightfully so, but I've really thought that his bland personality worked. It was another case of somebody knowing what talent they had and using it for the best of the business.
One of the things I remember about Ed was that he was trying to do the best for the business. Not necessarily the best for himself, but he's trying to do the best for his talent and for the business, and to be the best draw and to provide the best show for the fans that he could.
I think that's how I remember Ed Zahn. There was, once again, it was a case of the egos getting in the way, and it was like, well, what's best for the cream team? You know, what's best for the cream team? I remember when Win came out, the cream team didn't come onto the scene until maybe after a few shows. I don't know what episode it was, but it wasn't the very beginning. And I think, to me, that kind of bothered me in some ways. Well, where are we? It might be the case that Ed was trying to humble me. You know, I'm going to make him wait a while. You know, but when I look back on how Win was produced, I really thought that Ed and Julie did the best they could for what they had at that time until it reached the point to where they, you know, it was, I guess it wasn't workable anymore.
Right, it's 2 years. And actually, there was probably a three-headed monster with that. Ed Zahn, Jeff Capo, Julie Blanton. Those were the three that really worked to make that work. Ed knew right away who and where he wanted to go. He knew that AC Golden, or the Golden Phoenix, was going to be his top singles.
And rightfully so.
Right. He knew that Ricky Blues was going to be his top light heavyweight, moving me in. Moving you and Dave in as the top tag team was also his prime concern. And I think he took the three best talents that he had at that time, and I think he did a lot with us and a lot for us. Well, the downside of that was not too far beyond that. When Win went under, it seemed like the cream team began to follow suit, and that seemed like that was not the downfall of, but that was the contemporaries, the same time as you and Dave starting to split.